Jason had moved into a quiet neighborhood on the edge of town, hoping to leave his troubled past behind. The streets were peaceful, lined with towering oak trees. Its branches whispered whenever the wind passed through. Every house looked warm and welcoming, except one. Across the street stood an old grey house. Its paint had peeled away years ago, and the porch swing moved gently even when the air was perfectly still. According to the neighbors, the house belonged to an elderly woman named Mrs. Crawford. She doesn't talk to anyone. One neighbor whispered, "Just leave her alone." Jason laughed it off. The very next morning, while collecting his mail, he noticed Mrs. Crawford standing on her porch. She started stared directly at him. He smiled politely. "Good morning." She didn't answer. She simply turned around and disappeared into the darkness of her house. That night, Jason woke up suddenly. The sound came from his bedroom window. He looked outside. Mrs. Crawford sat motionless on the porch swing across the street. Her pale face reflected the flickering porch light. Her eyes never blinked. She was staring directly at him. Jason quickly closed the curtain. When he looked again, only seconds later, the porch swing was empty. The tapping returned every night, sometimes at midnight, sometimes at exactly 3:13 a.m. Each time, Mrs. Crawford appeared on her porch silently watching. Jason decided he had enough. The following afternoon, he walked across the street and knocked on her door. No answer. He tried again. The old wooden door slowly creaked open by itself. The house smelled of dust and damp wood. Furniture lay covered with white sheets. A clock on the wall had stopped years ago. No electricity, no footprints, only silence. In one bedroom, Jason found an old diary. The last page read, "If anyone sees me on the porch, don't look into my eyes. It won't be me anymore." Jason felt a chill crawl down his spine. Suddenly, the sound came from upstairs. He rushed outside without looking back. The next morning, he called the police. Officers searched the house carefully. When they returned, one officer looked confused. "Sir, this house has been abandoned for 12 years. Jason frowned. "What about Mrs. Crawford?" The officer slowly removed an old newspaper from a dusty table. The headline froze Jason's blood. "Elderly woman found dead alone in home 12 years ago." The photograph was unmistakable. It was Mrs. Crawford. Jason insisted he had seen her every night. The officers exchanged uneasy glances. "There hasn't been anyone living here since her funeral." That evening, Jason packed his belongings. Before leaving, he glanced one final time toward the empty house. The porch was empty. He sighed with relief. Then the porch swing began moving, slowly back and forth. The porch light flickered on by itself. A pale figure appeared in the darkness. "That is Mrs. Crawford," smiling for the first time. She slowly lifted one hand and pointed behind Jason. His heartbeat stopped. He turned around. Standing inside his own living room window was another silent figure watching him. When Jason looked back across the street, the porch was empty again. Jason left the neighborhood before sunrise. The house across the street still stands empty today. New families move in every few years. None stay for too long. Because every new neighbor eventually hears the same sound. Not from the empty house, but from their own window. And by then, it's already too late.